Welcome back to your next lesson on your readers and ushers. In this lesson, we will go over what a reader is, how many readings there are, the different types of readings, how to choose your readers, what is an usher, what do they do, and how to choose them. Midway through your ceremony, your reader is a person or persons who will read special passages or poems. The readings are generally no more than 2 paragraphs in length and limited to no more than 1 to 2 minutes each in order to keep the ceremony moving and not dragging. And most of the time, you can choose which readings you would like, with the exception of some religious ceremonies. You may also choose to let the people that you're having do the readings select their passages themselves, which of course you'll want to approve beforehand. The number of readings is up to you. In a Catholic wedding, there are typically 3 readings that are done mid-ceremony, 1 from the Old Testament, 1 from the New Testament, and 1 from the Gospels. You will want to check with your pastor about selecting your readings in a Catholic wedding ceremony, and the reason for this is that those readings cannot be substituted because of the word and presence of God in them. You will want to choose someone who is proficient at public speaking and is comfortable speaking to large crowds of people. You can choose to ask a family member or close friend as a great way to include them in your ceremony. Some popular readings in Christian ceremonies are from the Song of Solomon, chapter 8, verses 6 through 7, Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, verse 9, Ephesians, chapter 5, verses 25 through 33, 1 Corinthians, chapter 13, verses 4 through 5, and the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verses 18 through 25. Now, if you're not religious but still want to include readings, don't worry, you can choose passages from poetry or literature. Now, if you're having a Jewish wedding ceremony, 3 popular readings come from a Hebrew wedding prayer, from the Talmud, Ketubah 8a, and a wedding reading from Ruth, chapter 1, verses 16 through 17. Now, let's talk about your ushers for a moment. An usher is a person or persons whom you assign the role to guide your guests to their seats when they arrive for the ceremony. They will make sure your assigned seats for your parents and very important people are not taken. They direct your guests to the side of the room you would like them to sit on and hand them a program if you have one. They close the door of the venue, church, mosque, or synagogue once the ceremony begins. They help late arrivals find a seat. And your ushers can help guide your guests in the direction of the restrooms or anywhere else they may need to go. Now, you should choose 1 usher for every 50 guests, and the ushers can be your groomsmen. The roles of the ushers begin and end at the ceremony. For ushers, their job is to help everyone find an appropriate seat. If you're having guests choose a side, your ushers will guide people to the appropriate location. If a guest requires special seating, they should accommodate them as best as they can. To seat your guests, they should fill the front rows first, the ones not reserved for very important people, and then work their way back. If they're taking a lady to her seat, they should offer their right arm and walk her to her seat. When escorting a male guest, they will simply walk beside him and show him to his seat. If they are seating a couple, they will escort the female on their right arm, as noted above, and have the male follow behind them. If they are seating multiple women at once, they will escort the eldest on their arm and have the rest walk behind them. They should always wait at the end of the row until the guests have been seated before returning to the start of the aisle and escorting the next guest or group. Make sure that your ushers know who your very important people are, like your parents, siblings, and grandparents, and anyone else who gets a front row or nearly front row seat, and they should also know about any conflicts between them. Your ushers should know where the reception is being held and the address in case anyone needs that information or directions. Now, don't worry about trying to remember all these details. If you look to the right of the screen under Downloads, I've included a cheat sheet with these instructions for you that you can print out and give to your ushers. Now for some important tips about your readers and ushers. First, you want to let them know if you will have your guests sit on a certain side and which side that will be. You'll want to choose those who are reliable and on time. You'll want to make sure you invite them to the rehearsal dinner so they're comfortable in their duties. You can give them a cheat sheet, which again, you can print off under the download section of this lesson. And you'll want to make sure they stand out. Your guests should be able to easily tell whom these people are and be comfortable going to them with any questions they may have during the ceremony.